All right, welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Cetu Javu and their album Southern Lands. This album apparently came out in 1990 and it was put out on the ZYX Records in Germany. Uh, the album name Southern Lands. I don't know if you're paying attention to the uh, or if you have Amazon Prime, you can listen to the Rings of Power, the which is a Tolkien kind of like a prequel to. It's like a prequel to the Lord's. Um, what is it? Uh, his trilogy book, Lord of the Rings, um, and The Hobbit, and anyway, the this reminds me of the southern lands within the first age of Middle Earth, which happens to become Mordor. Um, and sorry if that was a spoiler, wasn't it? Well, luckily you're not here for that, right? You're here for this Cetu Javu Southern Lands album. So, this group, I heard first by listening to like techno tracks, and I the first song which that I heard from them was Situations, and that song is just perfection. All and it's song number 7 off of this album. Um, the other song that I really like off this album is Have in Mind. And then the last one, Adonde. Um, the other tracks are kind of, as we all know, Depeche Mode was kind of when it comes to the 80s. When it came to electronic music, they were truly, the cutting edge of electronic music in the 80s. Depeche Mode. And in some ways, I think Cetu Javu, or this group, um, has kind of taken upon themselves to try to sound like Depeche Mode, which is okay. I mean, I think, although I have to say that Cetu Javu is, I mean, they're original in the way that they create the music. I mean, it's obviously kind of electro pop, kind of house techno sound, kind of a rough edged sound, kind of, when Vince Clarke used to be with Depeche Mode, and he pretty much wrote all the songs on Depeche Mode's debut album, and then he decided to move on because he wanted to form his own group with first with Yazoo and then later with Erasure with Andy Bell. Anyways, so Vince Clarke has a kind of like very federally, like very optimistic vibe of when you listen to his music. Like just can't get enough. That's a very very optimistic. And then when Vince Clarke left after the first album with Depeche Mode, Martin Gore had to take over the writing, and Martin Gore, his sound of electronic production was very much more like darker sound, and very more embodied sound, like very I mean, and you can hear it on their second album, uh, which is Leave in Silence, I believe. uh is it Leave in Silence? It's the one with the grandma in the field cutting hay with um so anyways, so Cetu Javu is sounds more where I was going with this is that with Cetu Javu, their production value is sounds more like Martin Gore production, kind of more uh more more of a embodied hard beat sound. Not as optimistic as Vince Clarke, because once Erasure came out, or once they started making music, you could kind of compare Vince Clarke's music to Martin Gore's. It's like night and day, right? In some ways, in my opinion. Uh, and Cetu Javu, where I'm trying to go with this is that Cetu Javu sounds more like Martin Gore than Vince Clarke. And so it's got that 80s sounding, those 80s sounding beats, kind of leaning more towards techno music, house music, than Depeche Mode. But I mean, you could hear the influence on their music by listening to Depeche Mode. And Southern Lands, the first song off this album, is very good. I also, like I said, Have in Mind is just a classic. And of course, Situations is another amazing track. Adonde, the last song is very, I really like it a lot as well. And I don't know. This is a group that a lot of people don't know. Maybe there are people out there, maybe in Europe, that know this group more. But as far as in America, this group, either you know them or you don't, because they kind of came out in 1990, and 1990 was more, like I said, Depeche Mode was all over. America loves Depeche Mode, right? But when it comes to hearing these other groups, it's either you heard them or you've never heard them before. So you think, this album is very good. I'm glad I have it. It's a really interesting album. And and the funny thing is that with that Lord of the Rings, and the Rings of Power, it all focuses on the southern lands in Middle Earth, which, like I said, eventually turn into Mordor, because the Mount Doom erupts, and the lava falls, or the water falls into the volcano, and it starts spewing fire and everywhere in the southern lands, and it just becomes Mordor after that. And anyway, so Definitely check out Cetu Javu. It's probably not a, a group that you might come across very often, but if you do, definitely check him out on like Apple Music. Um, or if you can, try to find a CD on Amazon. It's definitely worth your while if you like that 80s pop style, um, similar to Martin Gore's Depeche Mode. Anyway, so please subscribe and like my video. Let me know if you heard this album and what songs you like off of it. There's Southern Lands, Love Me, oh yeah, Words Without Thoughts, So Strange, Get It, Situations, Bad Dreams, Have in Mind, Quinn Lo Sabia, and then sorry, and then Fight Without a Reason and Adonde. There's some songs off of this album that are sung in Spanish and others that are sung in English, but either Spanish or Italian. I can't. I maybe Italian. If there's any Italians or Spanish people, let me know if you know if this is Italian or Spanish. Anyways, the group itself is they're from Germany, but there are some songs where they sing in the Latin tongue, and whether it's Italian or Spanish, that's a loss on me because I just don't know. All I can tell you is that the songs sound really good, and you should definitely check out this album. It came out in 1990, by the way, which I've said before, but anyways, check them out. Situations is probably the most popular song. If you ever heard of Cetu Javu before, you've probably heard of their song Situations. And then maybe after that you probably might have heard Have in Mind, and then the other songs are good too, but those are the best ones that I like. So as far as of a ranking 1 to 10 on this album, I would give it a 8 out of 10. It definitely has its moments, and there's some songs that are not as good, but nevertheless they push the album forward towards the better songs. And definitely check them out. And I'll see you next time. All right, bye bye.